Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is the head of the Tommy DeVito fan club. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Big day for Italians, and the New York quarterback scene is back, baby. Double players of the week. Here we go.
Do you think that they're just messing with us, the DeVito family? They have to be, right?
Messing with us how? With how Italian they are?
Yeah, the whole it's very much like if they were trying to mess with us, this is how they would be doing it. The agent dressed like that, like they have to be just laughing behind the scenes, right?
It'd be pretty funny. I'm okay with leaning into it though. Like, why not?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Fun stuff. Here's what we're going to do. If you're new here, we're going to pick every single game this upcoming week. We're also going to recap the Monday games because we, didn't get a chance to talk about them, of course. Let's start with Packers Giants, I suppose. We're already talking about Tommy DeVito. It was a wild game here as, it felt like the Giants basically had this game. All of a sudden, Saquon Barkley it looked like he was trying to give himself up, but if you fall head first, you still have to be on the ground for an extended period of time before it counts as giving yourself up. And he fumbled right when he hit the ground. So if he ends up fumbling despite not getting touched, the Packers return at 50 yards, get the go-ahead touchdown. But then Tommy DeVito gets the game-winning drive. They beat the Green Bay Packers. And, we'll get to Tommy DeVito and all this. This is, I don't know, maybe the most disappointing loss of the season for the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for what this team was doing. And, they looked like a legitimate playoff team the last few weeks. And they looked like a team that was poised to take the 6th or the 17th. They looked like one of the best 7 teams in the NFC the last couple of weeks, no doubt. And then to lay this game, I don't want to say it was a complete dud. I mean, I don't think they played well. But, I do think a lot of the credit here, I didn't think, this is definitely not the same Giants team that we watched 4 or 5 weeks ago, right? This team looks much, much better. And I mean, we can get into some of the nuances with it, but it is still a bad loss in my opinion for the Packers because of how the way they had been playing. But this Giants team just looks like a better team than we've been, accustomed to this season. I think that's kind of what turned around their season, and I mean, quite frankly, why they might actually make playoffs now.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of connection issues. We'll try to fight through that. But I hear you. I mean, I don't know. I get what you're saying. The Giants have looked better. This is a bad day by Jordan Love, right? Jordan Love was not good in this game. And that's the thing that I'm looking towards as I don't know. Maybe we jumped the gun a little bit on the Jordan Love hype.
Announcing him as the next guy, the next in the line of the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think that was and that's just such a frustrating thing, right? Is I keep hearing, is he more Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers? What? Those guys are Hall of Famers that are first ballot Hall of Famers, 2 of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live. If Jordan Love is the 10th best quarterback in football, that's a great accomplishment. That's a great job. It's just that that's the expectation he has to live up to. So far he's been very inconsistent. He was inconsistent in college. He's been, and that's kind of why I was a little bit, I still think I gave him a lot of credit during that win streak. But even when I was a little bit timid, it's we have seen this before from Love, that string together 3 good games and then have a dud. This is a dud.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfair. It's unfair that he's in this situation, but this is also the nature of the sport, right? He is going to get compared to those guys, whether it's fair or not. And yeah, I mean, they're two of the best 10 quarterbacks of all time. And as you were saying, this is a guy who would be lucky to be the 10th best quarterback in football right now. So yeah,
Mhm.
I just think I think it's an uphill battle for him. It's probably unfair, but they also drafted him while Aaron Rodgers was there, so you can only have so much sympathy because this was their plan to begin with. And I don't know. He obviously has the moments to look great, but it's not, like you said, it's not a consistent approach. And I think part of it goes to, you know, I think this Packers offense has looked good when there's been a healthy and engaged Christian Watson in the offense. When
Mhm.
Christian Watson's out of the game and when Christian Watson's hurt, I feel like this Packers offense changes significantly. I think he's really important to this team and what they're able to do effectively.
Yeah, that's another big factor. Joe with the super chat. I was surprised by this. It was our best 60 minutes of football from both sides of the ball. It's too soon to crown DeVito Emperor God King, as many already have, but he's steering his own narrative. Yeah, let's talk. Listen, I don't know about what Tommy DeVito's ceiling is and what's going to happen here, but I'll say this: he's made himself a lot of money these past couple weeks.
Yeah, he is going to you know, he's going to have some nice Italian restaurant or something in Little Italy by the time this is all said and done named after him. He's going to have a few dishes named after him or something like that.
Hmm.
Um but I don't know. Like, I think it's a fun story. He's probably a good backup.
Yeah.
Could be a good backup. Yeah, he made the right plays in this one. He made good throws.
Oh, did we lose Kyle again? Chat, let me know. Is this on Kyle's end or my end? If this is an issue. Oh, Kyle, you're back.
That was weird. Sorry about that. All
No
right.
worries.
I don't know what's been going on lately. Anyway, yeah, I think he could be a good backup, and he's going to be able to, have an opportunity to play in the league a long time if he continues to play like this and have these opportunities.
Yeah, which is again, a lot of money can be made. Look at how much money Tim Boyle has made in his career, right? You can just if you just stay on a roster, you're going to make some money. Wanda Robinson was really good in this game too, so nice
Yeah.
to see him get going.
Yeah, I think the big thing with the Giants, like this was a very much like when we looked at the Giants last year, like how were they winning all these games? This is kind of how they won those games last year, right? They ran the
Hmm.
ball 34 times to 21 passes, didn't get sacked. The offensive line played much better in this game. And honestly, the offensive line getting healthier, I think is kind of an underrated part of like why this team's been playing at least marginally better the last few weeks. So I think that's helped. They've hit a couple big plays in the passing game. They're forcing turnovers. They're winning that turnover battle, and they're running the ball well. So yeah, I think all of that plays a factor. This is starting to look a little bit more like the Giants team from last season, at least a little bit in my eyes.
Joe with a very important detail. Evan Neal did not play. Never great when it looks better in that situation. And also, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. They beat the Commanders and the Patriots, and now the Packers. So it's like, yes, a 3-game win streak. I'll give you the Packers. That's an impressive win. But I don't know. Who only the Steelers are losing to the Patriots right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in perspective, right? Like this looked like legitimately one of the worst teams in the league
Hmm.
for like 5 or 6 weeks of the season. That's why I think this is remarkably better than what it was.
Sure, I agree. This looks like the team that we thought they would be heading into the season.
Yeah, which is still probably like a 7-win team.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. Another crazy game. Both upsets. Kyle, you locked up the Dolphins minus 13.5 because you had to. You waited for the last game. And there was a point when there was those 2 quick touchdowns, and I'm like, how did this happen? This is close game all game. Now the Titans are up 14. They're going to get the lock. Or excuse me, Dolphins are up 14. You're going to get the lock. All of a sudden, this Will Levis thing happens. A couple of great touchdown drives. They actually scored too quickly. The Dolphins get another drive. They can't get anything going. Amazingly, there was a lot of Tyreek Hill talk in this game because he went down and the Dolphins offense didn't look great in this game, although it also didn't look great when he was out there. A lot of defensive, you see 27, you're like, that's pretty good. But the Dolphins had 2 drives that started inside their opponent's 15 and a defensive touchdown. So that was a huge factor there. Um, you know, Titans pulled this one out, but it's kind of more about how the Dolphins lost it, isn't it?
It feels that way. Levis definitely did play well in this game. I do want to give him credit for that, but it's just it felt like another one of those frustrating Miami games where you really start to talk yourself into this team. You say, "Oh, this might be the best team in the AFC," and then it's just kind of another dud from this offense in December. And I'm not buying into the narrative they can't win games after December 1st or whatever, but the offense didn't look as good again. And this happened to us last season. And I know there were some injuries last season, but whether Tyreek Hill probably wasn't 100% when he got back on the field after that injury, right? He probably wasn't 100%. That probably played a huge factor. But for all the talk that we get all the time that Tua should be an MVP candidate, Tua is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, all this stuff, you should be able to handle an offense for a little bit with Tyreek Hill's not 100%, right? Like
Hmm.
this should look a little bit better when it's now on you to make this happen. And I feel like, he was he was pretty substantially the worst quarterback in this game. Like Will Levis, I thought outplayed him, and I thought that was a difference.
Yeah, I mean obviously the turnovers were bad by Tennessee, but and not all those were his fault. But I definitely feel like this is, I don't know. I think for one thing, Titans have the right game plan, right? We've seen they didn't do
Mhm.
the Washington thing of like, oh, let's make sure we can't let Tua beat us. No, that's what you do is you let Tua work underneath. You don't give anything deep over the top. It was the right defensive strategy. At this point, if you're not playing cover two against Tyreek Hill or quarters coverage, what are you doing here? And even when Tyreek Hill was out there, they still did that. I hear you. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, the offense wasn't playing great with Tyreek Hill in the lineup either. So I don't know how much was his fault. Obviously, some was because of that, and he was, sometimes in the lineup, but banged up. So I don't know. But as a whole, you're right. It's just this team disappears, and it's just how I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, but I don't feel great about that now because they just have too many of these types of games. Their ceiling is a Super Bowl team, but can they get it together for 4 games in a row? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the schedule at this point, the last few weeks has been pretty favorable. Like
Mhm.
after that Kansas City game, they had their bye week, and we didn't really bat an eyelash at the Las Vegas game. They kind of breezed through New York and Washington, and this was another one of those games where it's like, okay, this should be a pretty easy win, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And then this team is really going to get tested down the stretch of the season and into the playoffs. It's obviously no easy games in the playoffs. I don't know how this team's going to respond. And I don't know how it's going to perform these last few weeks. I think those Dallas, they could go 0-3 down the stretch. And I don't think it's a crazy take to say that they lose those last 3 games. And then all of a sudden we're probably writing this team off as far as Super Bowl contenders. So, I want to see this team, compete a little bit more down the stretch of this season. And, I want to see this offense kind of prove that it can go and win these types of games, win these ugly types of games, win these games where Tyreek Hill isn't getting a free 50-yard play on like every third play. Can they do stuff like this and win in the hard way?
And I mean, it's weird. The division is not locked in at this point. There are 2 games above Buffalo, and Buffalo beat them earlier this season, and they play each other the final game of the season. So if Buffalo can make up just 1 game on Miami, then that final game of the season would be for the division. So that's all of a sudden, I mean, that's a real thing we have to think about now if you're a Miami fan, because again, final 3 games: Dallas, Baltimore, and then Buffalo. That's tough. That being said, they go 4-0 down the stretch. They're the 1 seed. So
Yeah.
you have a lot of different ways this can go here for Miami. Yeah, I don't know. Kyle, are you now saying, "Aha, I told you, Tyreek Hill, MVP"?
I mean, I think he's the most impactful player on this team. So,
Hmm.
you
That
know, if,
argument is definitely one you can. I think is one you can make. Of is he an MVP of the Dolphins?
yeah. I mean, I think he, without a doubt, is. My argument for Tyreek was that if he's going to break these records and have that sort of season, then I think he, warrants a discussion, especially when, it seems like every other week we're having a new quarterback who's the favorite for the MVP really struggle for a game. So if he's going to break all these records and none of these quarterbacks really cement themselves, I would have the conversation for it. But, I would still have him third or fourth right now.
Yeah, and again, we can do the whole. We've done the MVP stuff a lot, so why don't we just? Oh, we don't really talk about the Titans that much. I don't know. I know draft stock and all that. If you're a Titans fan, how can you not be fired up seeing Will Levis like going crazy on the sideline? That's just fun.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm still not like fully convinced on it, but obviously the arm talent's there. He's made some really good throws, and there's enough flashes here to get excited. And I think that's half the
Mhm.
battle. Is at least like get people to buy into you, and then like as you develop and get better, things will get better for you. Like there's still a lot of inconsistencies. Like you said, some of the turnovers were bad, but like, you know, it's going to get better. He's going to figure that stuff out. It's just kind of, can he still show those flashes of one of the better quarterbacks in the league? And he clearly has the talent to do it. The arm talent is definitely there. It's just kind of harnessing that into like a complete football player.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first goal is show you can make plays at the NFL level. He cleared that first hurdle. Now it's trying to become a consistent quarterback, and we'll see if he can get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's defied my expectations already. So that's a start.
Yeah, he belongs in the NFL, so he's defied both of our expectations.
Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Kyle, brutal week for you. Not brutal week, but a tough week for you. Almost maintained a lead, but then with the Titans comeback, we are tied 39-39. What a close season this has been.
Yeah, a lot of ups and downs. I think we've each had pretty big leads at one point that have evaporated. So it's coming down to the wire here. We got 4 weeks to go in the regular season, then the playoffs. I mean, everything's still at stake here. Here we go.
Everything is at stake. Crazy stuff. Let's get into it. So Kyle, since I picked first, I gave you a game first last week, and now we're tied. Now you give me a game first.
All right. If I'm going first, I will give you. Okay, there's a few really good games here at the top.
Yeah, a lot of good games.
I am going to stick with the closest line, and it's so close that it's a pickup. Let's go Chargers at Raiders.
Let's see, where is Charger? The line I said Raiders -3, but if that says pick them, well, either way, I'm not locking it up, so don't worry about it. But I am going to pick the Raiders to win this one. I don't know. Neither one of these teams are overly impressive, but like we've been saying all season, wow, this Chargers team is absolutely a disaster without Justin Herbert. If they win without Justin Herbert, well, then I don't know. The Herbert haters will have a field day with that.
Maybe we were wrong the whole time if that's the case.
Right.
I do agree with you. Like, I don't think this is going to work out the way, this isn't going to work out for the Chargers, I don't think. So we'll see, but not really convinced on it either. I don't know. It's just such a weird team, man. I really have no idea what to make of it. But yeah, I think it's this feels like it should be a pretty easy Raiders game as long as they take care of the ball, no dumb turnovers, block Khalil Mack because he's due for like another weird 4-sack game.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think the top end talent on the Raiders is better.
Yeah, it's weird with the Raiders defense. Who would have thought this would be a defensive team? Like, who thought that's the way the Raiders team was going to end up being this season? Obviously, the 3-0 loss last week was, not ideal. You would think that they can get something going against the Chargers defense, but again, hasn't always been the case. Chargers did win by 7 last time they played, and Herbert wasn't spectacular in that game, but you still have to think that, I don't know, Herbert probably means more than 7 points in a game. So I think, I feel okay about the Chargers pick here. Or the Raiders pick here.
Raiders pick, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. There's not really too much to say about these two teams. Like, I feel like we know who they are. This is not going to be the most watchable game. But, I just think, like, Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, like, those guys are going to make a difference in this game. And it should be noted. It should be noteworthy that they're going to dominate, probably.
Yeah. Well, then let's move on. Let's go to what might be the most watchable game. Cowboys-Bills. Kyle, who you got?
Yeah, this was a high on my list too. This is going to be probably the best game of the week. Obviously, going to Buffalo at this time of the year, I haven't even looked at the weather report to see how much that's going to affect things. But that usually means something substantial. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I have been pretty adamant that I think this is the second best team in the NFL. In fact, if you look at EPA metrics right now, There are two teams currently top 5 in both offense or in all of offense, defense, and quarterback. And those are San Francisco, Dallas, and that's it. So yeah, and I think I think that's I think that's important. I think that if you're good at offense, defense, and quarterback play, you're generally going to win a lot of games. And I do think that's the advantage that Dallas has over any team. There's not a lot of weaknesses to this team, especially now that they have the best kicker of all time too. So
Right.
give me the Cowboys in this one. I feel pretty good about this.
Yeah, the weather forecast, it should be mid 40s. It's what it's projecting. So maybe even high 40s. So listen, not exactly sunbathing weather, but nothing terrible, nothing that's like going to make you not be able to hold on to the football. So I don't think that should be too much of a factor for either of these teams. I don't know. I'm surprised the Buffalo Bills are favored in this game, right? This is not some. I know Josh Allen's been amazing. It's the two quarterbacks we said are the two MVP candidates of the year. To the chat's dismay, sometimes with the Josh Allen stuff.
Oh my God,
It
they went crazy on Sunday. They did not like that take.
Yeah, some were not huge fan. I didn't check the comments after the fact, but yeah, definitely some not huge fan. But I mean, I don't know. We've been saying he's been really good this year, and the turnovers aren't his fault usually. I think that I don't know. The way I look at this, we've been saying kind of all year, this team is so Josh Allen dependent. Shouldn't Dallas be able to shut down these receivers and force Josh Allen to have to make magic happen? And shouldn't Dallas be able to score pretty consistently in this one? This is almost even feels like a lock candidate here.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, because I think the factor that's at play, I think when Buffalo has looked better the last couple weeks, part of it has been they've been able to run the ball more, and they've kind of committed to that. But Dallas's run defense is good now. That was probably their one weakness at points this year and even last year. Their run defense has played well, and I don't know if Cook is going to have a lot of advantages in that aspect. So you don't have that. Stephon Diggs is kind of your bread and butter, your go-to there in the offense. I mean, one of my favorite players of all time, one of my favorite Patriots of all time, Stephon Gilmore is out there just putting together another career year. He should be an all-pro this season, honestly. And you got those matchups, and all of a sudden it's well, those aren't really advantages for Buffalo anymore. The only advantage you have is Josh Allen, which is still a huge advantage, I should say. But then you also added to the fact that, yes, Josh Allen's back there. Josh Allen is dangerous, but Dallas's pass rushers are the kind of guys that can actually keep up with Josh Allen. And does that play a factor? He's not going to, there's not as much escapability when you're playing Micah Parsons. So, I think all of that's playing a factor to where, yes, I do think Buffalo does have some advantages in this game, but Dallas minimizes those at a really high level. And not to mention that I think the coverage unit for Buffalo, although they did play well last week, hasn't been as good this season, especially with all those injuries. This Dallas offense, I feel should have a lot of opportunities. I think we saw Philadelphia had a lot of opportunities against Buffalo in the second half of that game. And I think guys like Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson, and, still obviously CeeDee Lamb should have big opportunities in this game for the Cowboys offense.
Yeah, I completely. So then, how does this go the other way? How does the favorite win then? Usually we don't phrase it that way. Is it just Josh Allen? Is Josh Allen?
Yeah, I mean,
he goes off.
He's got to play a great game. He's got to be awesome again, which he has been for a lot of this season. So if Josh Allen's awesome, obviously anything's on the table because an elite quarterback can minimize almost anything. So I do think absolutely Josh Allen is the guy that could flip this script to begin with. And then, I mean, there's always the turnover factor, right? I mean, Dallas has done a really good job of not turning over the football and creating turnovers, but if you can flip that in their direction, obviously I think Buffalo would have a chance. And I mean, if they covered and, like I said, they covered and rushed the passer, rushed Mahomes in quite a few weeks last week. If they're able to keep that up in this game, maybe the defense gives them a chance too and stays in it.
Yeah, should be a good one. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I think these have been the best two quarterbacks this year, and it should be competitive.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, give me a game.
All right. Broncos at Lions.
Okay, Broncos. Interesting. This is so this is a surprise to me. This was very far down on my list. I had about 8 or 9 games ahead of this one. It's, and part of that is a lot of games that are separated by, 3 or 4 points, point spread this week. I'm picking the Lions to win this. I'm assuming this is because of what the Lions, how the Lions have done these past couple of weeks, right? Are you saying potentially some? Who do you have winning this game? I'm baffled by this choice, Kyle. I have the Lions.
I think the Broncos can win this one. I don't know. Like, I think the defense can actually slow down. Like you mentioned, like, I don't know. I think that they can cover, and I think if you can cover Detroit, you give yourself a chance. Like you said, a lot of this is going to be misdirection stuff, but I just think Denver has looked really disciplined on the defensive side of the ball a lot. Since they've started this run and kind of made their way back to this playoff position, and I just can't buy into this Detroit team right now. I think I got to see it again. Now, granted, I think Detroit's biggest weakness has been their coverage unit the last few weeks, and it's not like this is an explosive passing offense for Denver, but I do think there's enough here for Denver that they're keeping up in this game and potentially win it.
Listen, I'm not saying Denver can't win this game, right? It's a 5-point spread. That feels right. 5-point spread. Obviously, there's upset potential. I think that this is a reach. That's all I feel like, because, well, yes, you can paint the scenario. It feels like Detroit. Yes, I know they don't play the Bears well. That feels more like a bad matchup thing to me than anything else.
Well, yeah, I think so. But they also, lost to Green Bay. Mm-hmm. They looked unconvincing against the Saints. I mean, they gave up 38 points to the Chargers, who have looked lifeless the last couple of weeks. I mean, if you just basically go their last 5 games, this is a team that doesn't look really close to, I feel like we're talking about Detroit like they're the division leaders, and they still are. So you got to give them the credit for that. But I feel like this is far from the team that was leading the division a few weeks ago. And the last 5 games, they have just not looked like as competitive of a team. I think Denver's looked like a substantially better team the last 5 weeks of the year.
Yeah, it's not crazy. One thing, I was just looking at the Lions' schedule, they don't really have a big win this season. I feel like they don't have like one like, oh, well, that was a huge, like, I mean, they beat the Chiefs. I'm not saying they haven't beaten good teams. Like, they beat the Chiefs, but that game was very much like there was like the Kadarius Toney drops. There was a defensive touchdown in there. A win's a win, no asterisks or anything. But like, I don't know, what's their most impressive win? I guess beating the Packers pretty significantly, but they just hadn't figured themselves out yet. I don't know. They crushed the Buccaneers. Is that their biggest win of the season? Like, yeah. Like they haven't really had like a signature moment. Maybe this is an opportunity for it. I just worry. Well, kind of like you said, the way you beat this Lions team, I still feel like as you score 25, you score 28, something like that. I don't know if I trust Denver to do that. And they could, but I don't know if they're going to.
In theory, yeah, I don't know, but I do like. Based on the way the secondary is played, like, yes, they're not the most explosive offense, but I still like Kadarius Toney. No, definitely not Kadarius.
Nobody likes Kadarius Toney, not even his teammates.
I still like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy better than the secondary they're going up against. Like, I think they have a matchup advantage there. Like, this isn't an awesome receiving core, but it's not a bad one either. So I do think there is going to be opportunities there. And, if Russell Wilson's able to set his feet, he hasn't done it a lot this year, but I mean, this is still one of the best deep ball throwers we've ever watched. He still has that in his arsenal. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to uncork a few in this game.
Yeah. As we have someone in the chat bring up, Lions should be able to run all over them. That is something to watch out for as well. Broncos run defense hasn't been overly great, but again, all their numbers are skewed because of that Dolphins game. So who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, I also feel like if you're getting Detroit to run the ball a bunch, you're probably in a good spot because that's not what they want to do. And if you're making Detroit shorten the game with the run heavy approach, you're probably, catering to yourself in that regard.
Maybe, I don't know. But I feel at that point we're already talking about it as like they're an underdog, which I don't disagree with. But again, you're picking them third. You feel like this is an even matchup.
I do think it's an even matchup. I do think there's a chance here.
But then shortening possessions shouldn't help either team.
Well, yeah, but they're still on the road here in this game, and it's still viewed as an underdog. And if Detroit is the team that they were early in the season, they should be aggressive in this game. And that's just
slight. Maybe you feel like slight favorites to Lions. 51% Lions, 49% Broncos.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, got it. Understood. Yeah, I don't know. But also Lions. It's not just running; it's run play actions off of it and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but I do think that there is a chance of an upset here.
Hey, I love a good hot take. We'll see how it goes. Kyle is guaranteeing the Broncos beat the Lions. I'm going to give you a game. Texans Titans. The Titans are favored here. Texans. We don't know what the health of a lot of their players are at this point. Kyle, where are you going?
Yeah, that's what makes doing this Wednesday show so hard because like I still feel like if CJ Stroud was playing, I would still pick the Texans. But because I just have no idea, I'm gonna have to go Titans. Like, and I'll just have to eat the loss if CJ Stroud ends up clearing concussion protocol and playing in this game. But I'll just take the Titans because I don't know if CJ Stroud's playing. I know they're beat up at receiver too, so that's another big factor in this one. But I still feel like if Stroud's out there, I still trust him enough based on what we've seen this season to get the job done against this defense. But we don't know if he's going to be out there, so give me the Titans.
Yeah, Titans have been really bad at defending the pass this season. Last week, was the exception. I think that you have to assume that even if, with the receivers, with how injured they are, Stroud should still be able to move the ball down the field if he's healthy. But that's just the question. And if he's not healthy, I'm definitely taking Tennessee to win. So I don't want to pick this game.
Yeah. No, this is a good pick. I probably should have picked this last one, but feeling the upset there, so we're okay. Another part, like Texans coverage unit has been kind of up and down this year. Like they've had some good games, but they also just got torched by Zach Wilson. So
I don't know if torched is fair. I mean, they did shut him out in the first half.
Yeah, he had over 8 yards to attempt and 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he did pretty well.
He did well. Zach Wilson played well. Never good when that happens. I'm just saying, I think torched is a bit harsh.
Yeah. I mean, if that was any other quarterback, that's probably like 500 yards maybe. Anyway, besides...
I thought Zach Wilson played well in that game. I don't know.
But yeah, I just, looking at that, like, are they going to be able to cover DeAndre Hopkins in this game? Like, I don't know. So there are a few things I'm worried about with the Texans in this matchup. I do think they still could win, but like I said, just too many injuries piling up. It feels like wrong time of the year for the Texans to kind of have this bad luck.
Yeah, it just stinks, right? I mean, we want the Texans in the playoffs, and if they're not healthy and they lose this game, like it becomes that much harder. I don't know, but hey, if you're really a great team, maybe you can find a way to win with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, do you look at this situation as like this would be a letdown moment if they don't make the playoffs based on how they played, or is this still kind of playing with house money because you just drafted your franchise quarterback who looks awesome? You picked out this head coach who looks like a really good head coach hiring. Like, is it still house money for the Texans? Are you still just happy to like see this performance, or is this like a letdown if they kind of break down the end of the year?
No, I think you're happy either way. I mean, obviously you want to make the playoffs, but like I think either way, you're looking at this like this is a great season where we went from being the most irrelevant team in football for years, on end to a legit team that might have like dark horse Super Bowl aspirations next year. Like that's a huge jump. I don't think this is a Super Bowl team now anyway. So I don't think like, even if they were healthy, and especially with all the injuries now, like I think you feel like a disappointing end for sure. But either way, you're happy you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. So, I mean, we'll see. Like they could still easily win this game and make the playoffs and then make things interesting because they can throw the ball. But it's just with these receiver injuries, even if Stroud's back, like I still would pick them if Stroud was there, if I knew Stroud was going to be there. But like even if he's back, I don't feel awesome about it just because like, how much can you overcome with these pass catchers at this point?
Yeah, and that's why it's probably a good pick for Tennessee, even though I picked Houston, because like feels like the better chance the Titans beats the Texans if CJ Stroud plays than the Texans beating the Titans if CJ Stroud doesn't play.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So,
well, let's move on. Give me a game.
Bucks at Packers. Pick your team.
All right, yeah. I'm gonna pick the Packers. I picked against my team last week and it worked out, so it's a great move. Either my team wins and I'm happy, or my team loses and at least I get the consolation prize of nailing the pick. So I still would want the Buccaneers to win in this one. This is I don't know. I think both teams have a little bit of margin for error where they could lose this game and make the playoffs, but it kind of feels like whoever wins this one is probably in the playoffs.
It feels like it's getting to that point, right? Although, like you said, like either of these teams could still lose and make a run at it, but like I don't know how much time, how much longer are you willing to take that chance? So I agree with you. It feels like it could be kind of the deciding factor, and there's a real opportunity here for the Buccaneers to kind of put a stranglehold on this situation. If they're if things play out in their favor, they could go up a game or two on everybody, basically or a game on everyone in the division that's really competitive. So, there's an opportunity here to take, but I think it's a tough matchup for them, and we'll see what the health of Green Bay looks like this week. But their coverage unit did play better last week, and they're going to have to do it again because good Jordan Love can still make a difference here.
Yeah, it's the Jordan Love question is the question. And that's why it's probably a good pick here, because if he's great, then I think that they kind of beat the Bucs pretty handedly. But if he's what he did, on Monday night, then I think that this is a game, and maybe even you have the edge. Tampa Bay. I don't know. This Packers team has been. No team has been more inconsistent than Green Bay this season, right? Like they've had such ups and such downs. They're probably one of the few teams I still feel like I don't have a great handle on. Kyle, I have a gripe though. I hear week in and week out, oh, this NFC South, how stupid is it that the NFC South, they're going to get a playoff team? How unfair. They said, what a terrible team. Don't even want to watch these teams. And then we hear Green Bay, oh, it'd be fun if they're in the playoffs. Green Bay is 3-point favorite at home, so you would assume if it was neutral site, it would be even. They had the same record as Tampa Bay. What is the deal here?
Well, the issue is that the NFC South winner is hosting a playoff game.
Well, that's fair. If you want to say they shouldn't get a host, I don't even disagree with that. But I think, I don't know. There's the winner of the NFC South is playoff worthy.
I don't know about that.
If the Packers are.
The problem is that we're probably going to enter the playoffs. There's a good chance we enter the playoffs in the NFC with 2 sub-500 teams.
Yeah.
Both
from the NFC South.
Potentially. Or the Packers or Vikings and a team from the NFC South. So, yeah, I mean, there's a potential that, two under 500 teams are going to make it, which is kind of unprecedented. But, one of them is going to host a playoff game because of, arbitrary divisions.
Yeah, no, that I don't. You could reseed 1 through 7 after that. I think that would probably be reasonable. All I'm saying is I don't like. I feel like any podcast I listen to, anytime they bring up the NFC South, it's these teams. It's like, well, hold on. The Rams are also 6 and 7.
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing for you there, man.
Mm-hmm.
The frustrating thing about the NFC South is all the teams just make you want to pull your hair out. So, one of them's coached by Todd Bowles. The Saints can't score, and then the Falcons have all these talented players that they don't like giving the ball to. So, they're not enjoyable watches, along with being average.
Listen, how do you think I feel? I root for one of these teams. Yeah, how do you think I'm pulling? No one's hair has turned grayer than mine this season.
Yeah, at least when the Packers look good, they're fun.
Yeah, I get it. I totally understand the Packers are more fun and they're newer, so that's new quarterback. That's interesting. I understand it. But that's just all my my opinion on it. The game itself, gotta talk about it for a second. We kind of got it though, right? I mean, I don't know. Whatever Green Bay team shows up is going to determine this one.
Yeah, I would say that. And I think it comes down to Tampa's coverage unit too. If they play better like they did last week, I think they got a shot. But they can't give up the easy scores that they have been earlier in the year.
Yeah, should be a fascinating one though. Definitely one. I don't know. Do you think it's fascinating, Kyle? I think it's fascinating.
I mean, this game has a lot of stakes, so I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, again, have to watch it. It's every time. Whatever. I don't know. I like it. But yeah, it is worth mentioning. If they're not just competing for I feel we talk about the NFC South as though all they can do is win the NFC South. There is a chance multiple teams, make it from the NFC South. So this has playoff implications for the wild card as well.
I think NFC South teams should just be they should go the MAC route. So the MAC in college football, they play Tuesday nights because they know nobody's going to watch their games if it's on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
The NFC South, just like people are so deprived of football, they just put their games on Wednesday nights. Everybody tunes in. I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's the play.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good one. I'm on board. I'm gonna give you a game. I'm gonna give you Vikings Bengals. Two more teams fighting for the playoffs here.
Yeah, this is a fascinating game. I've really been struggling with this pick. I going back and forth on this one. I am going to take the Bengals just because I think their receivers are still good. They're healthier. I don't know what the Vikings quarterback situation is, but I don't love either option. Um, and not to mention, like Justin Jefferson getting hurt again doesn't help either of those quarterbacks too. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think the thing that scares me is just like, Jake Browning has looked pretty good. I think it's been, definitely a pleasing performance for, the Bengals, who, we were basically writing their obituary a few weeks ago, and Browning's managed to keep them afloat and keep them in the competition here these last few weeks. But he's going against a defense that's going to like blitz him like crazy, and I just don't know how this is going to look, and I want to see how it looks. And I think this could be a big like checkmark game for Jake Browning as far as like this season, and like even for him personally beyond this season, if he's able to like net this team a trade asset or something like that, if a team wants to take a chance on him. But he's going to get blitzed a ton, and they're going to throw everything at him. Brian Flores is going to throw the whole book at him. They're going to try and confuse him. How's he going to respond to that, I think, is the big thing for me. And I just don't know. But so I don't love it, but I am going to take the Bengals because I think they're better.
Kenneth Lee says Rams don't get to play NFC South all the time. A very fair point, Kenneth, but I'm going to ignore it because it doesn't fit my narrative. Yeah,
Kenneth
back
Lee,
to
I like
Vikings.
your food videos.
Is that this? I don't understand the reference.
Isn't there like a Kenneth Lee that does the food reviews? He like sits in his car and eats food.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Anyway,
Okay,
sorry.
Sorry, Kyle, I didn't get the reference. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like if you're blitzing the Bengals a lot, Jamar Chase has to have at least like one big touchdown in this one. I think I feel okay about the Bengals, and the Vikings offense is just one of the worst in football.
Yeah. I mean, they're bad. They're very bad, especially when they don't have a quarterback and their best offensive players. So, yeah, I think it's a the Bengals could shut them out in this game, and that would, it could take just one big play to really swing it. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Kyle, who would you rather watch? The an NFC, one of the three NFC South teams that are competing for the division, or the Vikings
in the playoffs?
Sure.
I'd take the NFC South team.
Okay. You can maybe argue the Vikings defense could be interesting, but yeah, I think I would take. Yeah, I think I agree.
I would definitely take Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans over Nick Mullins.
And Justin Jefferson's back though. That's the one X factor.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't get me too excited. Nick Mullins is the one quarterback that makes Kyle Shanahan look bad. Like, I don't know what to do with that. So,
what do you mean? He had third most passing yards to start his career. Like, what's that graphic? Like 10 games, like most passing yards to start his career. He's third most.
Oh yeah. So he clearly means business.
Yeah, I don't know. Fascinating game. Both teams trying to get into the playoffs. I'll be watching it. If it has stakes, I want to watch a game that matters more than I want to watch the two best teams play.
Yeah, but the two best teams playing is not bad either.
Sure, I don't mind that either. But if the two best teams already have the one seed locked up, and there's the Vikings Bengals fighting for the playoffs, I'm going to watch Vikings Bengals.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Why don't we? Kyle, give me a game.
Bears at Browns.
Okay, Bears Browns. It's interesting because this new look Chicago Bears fighting for a playoff spot all of a sudden. A little bit. They pretty much have to win out, but that's not impossible. I'm picking Cleveland to win. Honestly, this new look Cleveland team of Joe Flacco, we're kind of all waiting for it to come down to earth. Kyle, you brought up a Stephon Gilmore All-Pro just because you like Stephon Gilmore. It's not because you actually think he deserves the All-Pro. I'm going to give you
he does, but...
Does okay. Again, you can't just give the All-Pro to everyone, though. You have to. There's only two guys get the All-Pro, or four if you're counting second team. What about Jalen Johnson All-Pro?
Yeah, I mean he would deserve consideration. He's been really good, and we talk about this Bears team. Like, there's a lot of talk on Justin Fields. Everyone has a Justin Fields take, which
Hmm.
obviously he's the most important position, so that's going to get brought up a lot. But I don't think enough is being brought up about how this defense has kind of had this resurgent run here the last few weeks, and why the Bears look so much more competitive. Is that this defense is playing better? So Johnson's been a huge part of that. His coverage has been excellent. So yeah, I mean, I think he deserves consideration for it too.
Yeah, this sort of new look Bears defense all of a sudden playing pretty well. Montez Sweat has been very good for them. I don't know if it's entirely because of him that they've turned it around. I think they kind of started turning around before that, but they've definitely, he helps a lot. Yes, Key ran in the chat says, wasn't Flacco put back on the practice squad? He was, but it was more of that just kind of like almost like a paperwork thing of like that's how it works is when you get signed off when you are on this practice squad and then you play, you just go back on the practice squad. That's how that works. Although Kyle, I propose a theory of like, I don't know, if you're the Bills trying to get into the playoffs, why not just give, hey, Joe Flacco, here's $10 million to come play for us. Let him sit on the bench for you, and now the Browns are screwed.
It certainly would be devious. That'd be pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why not? And if you're Flacco, sure. I mean, how much money would it take if you're Joe Flacco? Maybe he's having fun and wants to play, but I don't know. $10 million, $10 million.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm sure he's going to take the play. He's made a lot of money in his career.
Maybe I don't know. I can't try to get into the head of Joe Flacco.
I mean, the inner machinations of a mind are an enigma.
Sure. I don't know. I mean, it just comes down to can this Justin Fields thing, can he go off in this one? Probably not. I think the Browns win.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be ugly. Obviously, the big thing that could change it from low scoring is the turnover factor, which Justin Fields definitely can turn over the ball in this game.
Mm-hmm. But
And
so can
Joe
Flacco.
Flacco could definitely turn over the ball in this game too. So I think the turnover factor is at play here that changes the score a little bit, but this is going to be heavy defensive, and I think any game that I feel like could go down to the last possession, it's kind of a flip of the coin sometimes, and that's where the Bears probably win it.
Yeah, it's definitely has upset potential here, so I can see it. Any final thoughts on this one, or you want to move on?
No, I'm good. Let's keep it rolling.
Let's keep it rolling. I'm going to give you another game that has playoff implications that also maybe isn't one that you'd be watching if it didn't have playoff implications. Steelers Colts. Kyle, I think this is a loser leaves town game.
I think so too. And I don't know what happened last week. It was bizarre. That second half was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not counting it out. I'm going to go ahead and lock up the Indianapolis Colts here.
Okay. Another lockup against the Steelers, Kyle. You will never learn your lesson.
I won't, but I just watched Mitch Trubisky play last Thursday, and I just don't see it. I don't know. Like I'm you said loser leaves town. If Mitch Trubisky has to play 2 more weeks, they've left town. Like they're in Cancun already. They got their vacations booked January 1st. They're getting out of here. I don't even know when the season ends, but they might as well go January 1st. This is a team with Mitch Trubisky is not an NFL quarterback, and I just watched him play against the Patriots. But granted, Patriots defense has played well this year, and even during this horrible losing streak they had, the defense played lights out for the last 3 weeks leading into that Pittsburgh game. But I just don't think Mitch Trubisky has it, and I don't trust it. And I think the Colts are going to win it because of that.
I guess the flip side is Trubisky came in relief at the end of the Arizona game, and that was a weird game. There was weather throughout, and then the Patriots defense has been playing well. Is it possible that, like, I don't know, I feel like Trubisky isn't a terrible quarterback. I know he didn't play well, but is it possible that was just kind of a bad game by him, and he could potentially, and, it was also a short week, so no first-team reps. He's had time. Is it possible we see a better Trubisky in this one?
Maybe, but like it's not like this is his first year in the system and he was thrown into the fire. Like,
Sure.
This guy's been here for what, 3 years now? 2 years?
I think this is his
least?
second year. I think you're embellishing a little bit.
2 years? But like, I mean, he's still been there a decent amount of time for a backup quarterback. Backup quarterbacks typically don't last this long in destinations. Like, and if he's not prepared to at least manage the offense for, a couple of games while, Kenny Pickett gets hurt, what exactly is your role here? That's just my issue. And you know, the Steelers offense obviously has been well documented to have several issues even before Mitch Trubisky took a snap for this team this year. And now that he is taking a snap, I think it's just even worse. So I just think I don't know. There are a few things that I think are excuses, but if it's a bad offense with a bad backup quarterback, I'm not really going to get excited.
Listen, I get it. I have the Colts winning as well, but the Steelers not having a quarterback hasn't stopped them from winning games in the past. So I know it hasn't looked great these past few weeks. Yeah, can never count them out though.
Can't count him out. Look, Mike Tomlin is still a really good coach, although I think similar to what we said about Belichick all year, you know, we can have a lot of questions about Tomlin and what he's done with this offense this season. But he's still a really good coach, and I still think he really manages games well. So I think that's going to be a huge factor. But yeah, I just don't think I'm going to trust it right now. And you know, even last week, like there was just some coverage lapses that like New England, you know, hit, and those were their touchdowns basically. And so there is still the factor of like TJ Watt could dominate this game, but like I still think the Colts can get some in this game. And you know, Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce are better than anything that, you know, had success against Steelers last week. So I don't know what changes.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
Yeah, what's next on my list here? Let's go Jaguars at Ravens.
Okay, Jaguars, Ravens. Yeah, I had one game ahead of this, but it's not a bad choice. Huge game. I mean, the Ravens, I feel like, you know, if everyone's rooting against the Chiefs at this point, they are kind of the new Patriots. So for the Ravens, they have a 2-game lead on Kansas City. 2-game lead of 4 games to go. That's great. What do you have to worry about? Well, schedule is very difficult. So they play the Jaguars here. That's obviously, you know, that's not an easy win. How healthy is Trevor Lawrence? That you know, remains to be seen. But here, I had their schedule up and I lost it. 1 second. Go have to get back up. And then you have the 49ers, the Dolphins, and then the Steelers. You go 3-1 that stretch, you're good. Feels like this has to be one of the 3 wins you get, though. Jacksonville is not an easy out, but I don't know. We talked about the Jaguars. They cover well. The Ravens, they like to, you know, do things a little bit differently. We've talked about the Jaguars kind of, you know, over the middle has been rough these past couple of weeks. The Ravens like to attack there. I think I have Baltimore winning this game. It's even a lock candidate potentially, but I'm not going to go there. But I don't know. I like Baltimore in this one.
Yeah, I think I would lean Ravens -3.5. And this probably would have been the game I scooped up if there was an opportunity for it too, for a lock. And yeah, I think that they're a better team. I think they're playing better ball right now. And as you said, like, you know, if Trevor Lawrence isn't 100%, I just don't know how much I could trust the Jaguars in this spot. Like you said, the defense, I don't think it's a good matchup for the Ravens or for the Jaguars, mainly because, like you said, their coverage over the middle is poor. Lamar hits that basically all the time. That's his bread and butter. They don't have an awesome pass rush outside of Josh Allen. Lamar is probably one of the most, you know, is one of the most elusive quarterbacks in the league. That's going to be a tough matchup. And I think just all of that is everything looks to Ravens right now. It feels like a good matchup, and it's going to have to take a big Trevor Lawrence game, I think, to minimize it. And if he's not 100%, I just don't know if that happens.
Yeah, but if he is 100%, then that's how it happens, right? And we have seen Baltimore have letdown games before. So I don't feel like, and that's kind of my thing, is that we've seen this before with Baltimore, of them going into a game they should win and either losing or, like, even last week, you know, winning in overtime, which would still cover the 3.5, but maybe they win by. Kyle, are you in the chat telling me to lock it?
Yeah.
I can see your username.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Okay, Kyle, having a lot of fun in the chat. Again, that's why you do the show live. Watch the show live because you can chat with Kyle.
Yeah, I'll chime in every now and then. But anyway, what were we talking about? I got distracted.
I think I was pretty much wrapped up. If you have anything else you want to add.
Yeah, I mean, Lawrence is certainly good enough to play the minimizing factor, but like it didn't look great last week, and I know he's playing off that injury, and I don't know if he's going to be healthy until probably closer to the end of the season. And it feels like it could be a situation where Jacksonville limps into the playoffs just because of what's going on with this defense. It's not playing as well. And, you know, with their starting quarterback not 100%, that plays a factor.
Kieran says I was about to lock up the Ravens. Yeah, I chose not to just because Kyle put it in the chat. I was going to do it, and then Kyle talked me out of it.
Oh, well, your loss.
We'll see. No, I wasn't actually going. I thought about it, and then I remembered a couple locks down to later in the show that I like a little better. So I'm going to go with those. Kyle, I'm giving you Eagles Seahawks. Crazy how this game is, this far into the show. We're 55 minutes into the show, still getting a 4-point spread with two great teams, or at least two good teams. Where are you going?
Yeah, I like the Eagles here. I feel pretty confident about it, and I thought about potentially locking this game up too. I'm assuming the line is reflecting on Geno Smith being healthy, which obviously makes a huge difference for Seattle. But I also just think they don't defend the run really well, and that's not a really good thing to do against Philadelphia. So give me the Eagles, and I feel pretty good about it.
Well, here's why I wouldn't feel good about it is we have seen Geno, when healthy, have his good offensive days, and this Eagles team can't cover anybody right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly the concern about it. I think there is a concern there. I would agree, but I don't know. I just feel like they would still have to keep up with Philadelphia enough, and I just don't know if they're that good. Like, it is a good offense when Geno's on his day, but you still have to bank on Geno's on his day and still bet on this team to be able to keep up with their opponent, which is, still the Eagles when they're at their best.
Sure, but they're not at their best, right? I mean, this is a team that's been very inconsistent offensively the past couple weeks, they've just been, bad offensively. I mean, part of that's turnovers, I get it, but I don't know. I could see Seattle getting a couple turnovers in this one.
Yeah. I mean, they could, but I don't know who is going to be able to force those turnovers for Seattle right now. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like right now, I still feel like this. Like I have questions about the Eagles, but I still feel like this is two different tiers of teams, and that's where I feel pretty good about it.
Interesting. I don't disagree that I think they're two different tiers, but I feel like you can beat a team that's one tier above you.
Yeah, sure.
That's still a good game.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of factors to that. I agree. Eagles obviously flying cross country too, but I don't know. I would be pretty surprised if Seattle does win this game, honestly. I just think the Eagles are a better team, and I do understand the secondary issues, and despite the temper tantrums, I think DK Metcalf has absolutely balled out the last couple weeks. So there is the factor he could dominate this game, but I also don't think outside receiving is the issue for Philadelphia. It's the stuff over the middle. Darius Slay could actually do a pretty good job on DK Metcalf. It's the stuff over the middle that really kills Philadelphia so far this season because their linebackers and their safeties haven't been able to cover as well. So we'll see how that works out this week.
Yeah. Kyle, who's better, Devin Witherspoon or Stephon Gilmore?
Come on, man.
What do you mean?
Stephon Gilmore's better.
Is he?
He is. Devin Witherspoon will be better soon, but Stephon Gilmore's better right now.
Okay. We'll see.
I don't need PFF grades on this. I know Stephon Gilmore's better.
Okay, sure. I know. There's Stephon Gilmore, defensive player of the year. Stephon Gilmore this year.
No, not this year. You keep laughing at that take, and I turned out to be right. I said he was the best defensive player in football, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. Completely justified.
Okay, hold on. A bit of misleading there. You said he was best defensive player of the year in a year where Aaron Donald got 22 sacks, and then he next year won Defensive Player of the Year.
But he's still the best defensive player that year. It just took a little bit.
He was the Defensive Player of the Year the following season.
Yeah, well,
he did not surpass a 22 sack interior defensive lineman season.
It just took everybody a little bit longer to realize, other than me.
Sure.
One of those guys got the Super Bowl. The other didn't that year. That following year too. So, who's the real winner?
Wait, but Gilmore won the Super Bowl the year that you said it, not the year that he won Defensive Player of the Year.
You're right. I'm losing track of everything now. It feels so long ago. Everything pre-COVID doesn't count to me, except for Stephon Gilmore winning Defensive Player of the Year because he was the best.
So all those Patriots Super Bowls do not count.
Those count too. It's okay. Everything else.
Got it. Understood. Let's move on. Let's go to Kyle. Give me a game.
Giants at Saints.
Oh, interesting. Giants Saints here. Yeah, I am going to pick the Saints to beat the Giants. I understand the logic here because yeah, I get it. Tommy DeVito, how confident can you really be in this? How confident can you be in the Saints team, right? The Saints team has not looked great. The Giants team has looked very good. I still think the Saints are a better team. I know that the Saints cover better. I know the Tommy DeVito stuff has been fun. I'm picking New Orleans to win, but yeah, there's upset potential here.
There's definitely upset potential. Give me the upset here. Give me Tommy Cutlets on the road. You think I'm scared of Dennis Allen? I'm not scared of Dennis Allen. Tommy Cutlets is going in and winning this game. This Saints team is frustrating to watch beyond belief. They don't throw the ball past the line of scrimmage, hardly at all. I like the Giants on the upset here. They're going to control this game. They're going to control the line of scrimmage, and they're going to get the win.
Oh, so if you're so confident, you want to bet an extra point on Giants Saints straight up?
No, I do not. But I'm thinking
okay. So maybe a bold call, picking the upset when it's not your game to pick.
I did have this down as the Giants. That's why I picked it here. But
okay. But you were never going to let it go there.
I mean, if it fell to me, that would happen. But I was ready. I was ready to give you this game for sure because I think there is an upset.
I get it. I understand. And listen, there's a 3-point spread still on the board here. I think it's the right call to put this one ahead of that one. I'm with you because the Saints, have looked very uninspired. But I guess it just I don't know. You know me. I'm always the last person in on somebody. It feels like I'm not in on Tommy DeVito just yet.
I'm not either, but I think this is more an anti-Saints thing than it is a Tommy DeVito New York Giants thing. That's my logic.
Yeah, I understand it. But I don't know. There's still things the Saints do okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're still a solid team, but I mean, this feels like a really disappointing year for the Saints. Like this team, there's not really an excuse to me that this team isn't winning 10, 11 games this year. And like this team has the talent to do it, and they just haven't. And yeah, I mean, they're still weak on the offensive line, which, if the Giants are healthy, I think that's a huge advantage for them too, by the way. The defensive line against that Saints offensive line. There's still problems there, but like they have good receivers, like the best version of Derek Carr we've seen be a pretty good quarterback. Like, I'm just not willing to admit that, like, oh, Derek Carr is now washed. Like, he's just bad. And I don't know what's going on at this point. And I just feel like this team should be better than what it is. And this is probably a disgust. Like, I'm just so disgusted with you that I'm picking against you at this point and out of spite. But, like, I just feel like this team should be more competitive. Like, I don't view this team, like, talent-wise, a lot different than, like, a Detroit team. I think they're I think they're poorly coached, poorly managed, and they're not executing as well as players.
Interesting. I think so. The Saints, they have defensive players, and the defense has still played, I would say, well this season. And the Saints, kind of their whole thing is they've always, for the past like 5-6 years, the way they've won has been not very impressive wins, so they haven't looked great. I don't know. Why aren't you willing to admit Derek Carr is washed? Because it's back-to-back years of this.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's time, maybe I'm just the last one off board at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's just hard for me to believe that this is all of a sudden like a bottom 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And not that his ceiling was that high. Like his ceiling was like fringe top 10, really. It feels weird to say that all of a sudden that guy's just gone.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, the Saints kind of make sense. They play defense well. They have a tier 4 quarterback at this point. They have like a tier 3 receiving core. An offensive line with some good players and some issues. Yeah, it makes sense that they would be a disappointing offense that can play defense and stay around 500.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels that way at this point. It's been so bizarre, and I just feel like there's way too much talent to watch this continually fail. And I think that it's just such an interesting dynamic too, because this team has continued to push this can down the road. And it's like, at this point, like, what is even your goal? Like, what is the goal of the Saints at this point? To win the division at 8-9 records for the next 5 years? Like, is that basically it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the goal this year, was division's going to be completely up for grabs. Let's try and win it, and hopefully we get hot in the playoffs.
Yeah, but how embarrassing is it that you were the team actually going for it and you might not actually win the division?
That's tough. Yeah, that is tough. Like, at least like Atlanta, it's like we started Desmond Ridder. Like, what in like Tampa Bay, it's like we just got Baker Mayfield. Carolina also tough, but for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina, like, even the best version of Carolina was like, hey, maybe we win like 6 games this year and Bryce Young looks good. Like, this is obviously like worst case scenario. Like, this team actively wanted to win this year, and in a division where nobody picked any winners from this division. And here we are where, obviously they're still tied with Tampa Bay and Atlanta, but, they viewed themselves as above these teams.
Yeah. Hey, but the Saints went out and you're in. I mean, you play the Falcons and the Buccaneers. So, honestly, go 3-1 and you're in, probably. So season's not over yet for the Saints, but right now it's not looking good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, let's move on. Why don't we? It's way too much time on that game. Although in fairness, we didn't really talk about the game itself that much. I'm going to give you a game. I'm going to give you another couple NFC South teams. Falcons, Panthers.
Yeah, thought about locking this one up too. I had a lot of locks I liked this week. Really,
I had none, but
really,
yeah.
I feel really good about the Falcons winning this game. Like, the Falcons won the first game of the year. This one, 24-10, and I don't really know what the difference is here, other than that the Falcons have to go on the road. Carolina might be worse than they were at the beginning of the season because they're more hurt. So I don't know. Maybe because Atlanta's marginally worse on the road. That's the factor, but I don't see how the Panthers, never mind the Panthers winning, I don't see how the Panthers cover.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get the spread at all. I don't get that this is like -3. This feels like it's definitely a lock candidate. I don't understand it. I guess my only concern is I could see the Falcons. I could see the Panthers. I could see the Falcons turning the ball over a few times so that it stays competitive. I think that's probably why the line is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there is that Desmond Ridder factor where he is going to put the ball in harm's way. So maybe that, yeah, I agree with that. But like, even then, is it enough to say like Panthers are going to score like 20 points and make this a 23-20 game? Like, I just don't see it.
I don't know. I mean, they just kind of did that with Tampa Bay, right? They made that a 3-point game. So a couple weeks ago, and they, even that Saints game was way more competitive than it should have been for a while. Then it got off the rails. So I don't know. I still think there's defensive players I like for Carolina. Like, I think they can turn the ball over. Atlanta should win. Atlanta should win by 20. I'm just saying, like, the play devil's advocate. That's the way it can work.
Yeah, that's probably it. But that it's still going to require, obviously, either a huge advantage in the turnover margin, or B, Bryce Young to kind of figure things out in this offense. And I just don't know if this offense can figure things out.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. We don't spend forever on that. Kyle, give me a game.
Let's do Jets at Dolphins.
Jets, Dolphins. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to pick the Dolphins. Not going to lock it up, I don't think, but I could. The Dolphins are much better. I think the Jets have been surprisingly scrappy with Zach Wilson. That's why I don't feel great about it. Plus, this game was somewhat competitive the last time they played, despite the Tim Boyle factor. So maybe with better quarterback play, the Jets can stay competitive. We just saw the Dolphins look, bad. Tyreek Hill, how healthy is he going to be? And I still like the Dolphins, and I like the Dolphins to cover.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of things to really like about this Jets defense. I mean, I think they deserve a ton of credit for the way they've played lately. I mean, as this offense has gone through this kind of turmoil and mess, this defense has just continued to play lights out. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge factor in this game. And, I think that could be something that, makes this game a lot closer and covers the spread. But yeah, I mean, once again, it's one of those things where Dolphins, if you want us to take it seriously, this should be a 10-point win. Easy.
And especially with the final 3 games they have. I mean, if you want any chance at the 1 seed, this has to be a win.
Yeah. I mean, they have to win this. I agree. I mean, if they want to keep up with Baltimore, I know Baltimore's got some tough games down the stretch, but you've got to keep up with them, and that requires winning games like this. So, I don't think Miami should mess around in this game. Obviously, the Monday loss is going to sting, but they are the better team, and they should approach this game like they're a better team.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's move on. Kyle, I'll give you your team. You gave me mine. Chiefs, Patriots. Does the upset happen?
No. Listen, I think it is a. There's been a lot of weird stuff. This was a lock candidate for me too. the Chiefs love beating up on bad teams. And this Patriots team is still very much a bad team, despite winning last week, which does, feel a little bit better. Just a couple things that factor here. Obviously, the whole Bill Belichick, is he going to be fired, not going to be fired thing yesterday came out. I don't really know where it lies. I mean, I have been very vocally anti-Bill Belichick this year, honestly, to the point where it probably sounds like I'm a hater, which just isn't the case, obviously. He won six Super Bowls here.
I heard
there's
that,
been
yeah.
a lot. Yeah, there's been a lot of great factors here. I just think, it's been a frustrating season, and it would be a bummer to see it kind of play out this way where, he's just parting ways. They're announcing it before the season even ends. I don't think anything's really actually going to be announced until after the season, but we'll see. As far as the game goes, listen, the Patriots defense has played a lot better, has played pretty well this year. And especially as they've gone on this huge losing streak, we touched on it. This defense has been really good. But I think one of the big problems, especially without Matthew Judon out there, is they don't hit the quarterback all that much. I think they're bottom 5 in sacks, and I don't think their pressure rate is all that great either. And if they're not going to pressure, they could cover the Chiefs. I do think they can cover the Chiefs, but the problem is if you're not pressuring Mahomes, it just doesn't matter if you can cover them because you can only cover for so long before Mahomes makes something happen. And I just, the Chiefs are going to beat them up because of that.
Here's the thing. I think you can kind of talk yourself into how the Patriots can play the Chiefs offense pretty well. But then you have to remember that you have a top 5 defense against this Patriots offense. Chiefs are going to win.
Yeah, so I feel good about it. For the Chiefs side, this just feels like one of those games where they're going to win this game 35-0, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, we all panicked about the Chiefs," and it's like they beat the Patriots. I don't know what to do with that information.
Kyle, I think the Chiefs could still get the 1 seed. I think it's still very much possible because they play the Patriots, the Raiders, the Bengals, and the Chargers. Go 4-0, which I probably would predict they go 4-0 in that stretch. If the Ravens lose 2 games, which we talked about how tough their schedule is, if Miami loses 1 game, now the Chiefs are back in the 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, it's still possible. I know I don't know. I still feel like I think the Ravens find a way to go 3-1 down the stretch, though. But we'll see. I mean, it's definitely still in the cards. We'll see what happens. And obviously, that still means that the Chiefs have to play good football down the stretch, even though they, they have had some frustrating games. Like you said, they should be honestly heavy favorites in all of these games going forward. So it's still possible, but I still feel good about Baltimore at this point.
Yeah, gun to my head, I'm still saying they don't get the 1 seed. It's just it's something that's on the table that even if it doesn't feel like it. Let's move on. 2 games left, Kyle. I have to lock up whatever you give me. Where are you going?
All right. So now I gotta do what you did last weekend. I'm guessing here you wanted to lock up the Rams -6.5 against the Balls. So although the 49ers, I think they can easily win by 2 touchdowns. I'll give you the Niners at Cardinals.
Okay, so I'm forced to lock this up. Yeah, interesting how this happened last week and now it's happening again here. But part of why I was willing to do this is I didn't hate if I ended up getting caught with this one. I'm not mad at locking it up. I don't know. Niners could win by 2 scores here.
They should definitely still win by 2 scores, but I don't know. There's still the Kyler Murray factor. That's basically what we're looking at here. The big thing is though, Arizona cannot cover,
right.
And this is still a really bad matchup for them. So, divisional matchup, maybe that plays a factor. Kyler Murray has a big game. There's a few things that you could talk yourself into for Cardinals keeping this interesting. I don't think you could ever talk yourself into the Cardinals actually winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, last time they played, it was 16-35. It got off the rails that quickly. Josh Dobbs actually played pretty well in that one, but it didn't matter. So I don't see how this goes any differently. I don't see how to. I'd be surprised if San Francisco scores less than 30 here.
Yeah, I would too. The big thing, I would have to bank on 24 points from the Cardinals, which isn't a great sign, but Kyler could still do it.
Yeah. Keyman says, Jackson, you a hater. Who am I hating on?
I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong, but what's that?
I guess the Ravens not being the 1 seed.
I'm not saying I don't think. I'm just saying it's an option because the Ravens have a tough schedule.
Yeah.
I like the Ravens more than the Chiefs. I just the schedules matter.
I think if the Ravens win this Sunday, I will lock up the Ravens as the 1 seed.
Okay, I mean, San Francisco, and then and
Miami
who
and
is it?
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So San Francisco and Miami. I mean, that's I don't know. It's that those are two good teams, and Jacksonville's a good team.
Yeah, I get it. They could easily lose this week, and then it changes everything. But I do think if they win this week, I feel pretty good about it. But we'll see.
How many drinks does Brock Purdy need to have Saturday night for the Niners to lose the game?
I don't know. What's the biggest, like, those like mini kegs you can buy at the grocery store? Does he need to go through one of those?
Yeah, maybe a couple. I think if he goes through one of those, they're winning.
They're okay. He needs 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
However many it takes for, Sam Darnold to have to play, I guess. If Sam Darnold was quarterback, would you pick San Francisco or Arizona?
Who do you think? Yeah, I'm San Francisco.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, or San Francisco, they could win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, couldn't they?
Possibly.
that would be amazing.
Although, don't call Brock Purdy a game manager. You'll get everyone mad at you.
Right? No, definitely not. Although, also don't say that. Don't say that he's not a game manager because then you also get everyone mad at you.
Yeah,
people like to get mad.
Yeah, there's a lot of takes flying around. Like, I don't know. The Cam Newton thing was kind of funny. The only thing that I thought was disrespectful about the Cam Newton thing is he was wearing like a red like Amish hat and like a green tie, telling people about game managers, and I'm like, you can't let people dress like that tell you you're a game manager. Like Dak Prescott has to fight him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that would be. I'd watch that. Enough of these like stupid YouTuber boxing matches. Let's get athletes in it.
Can I say that is the most infuriating medium of sports I think I've ever watched? Like, why is watching amateur fighters like actually entertaining to people?
I don't know. I don't get that. Yeah, I don't
get that for free on World Star. Now people are paying for pay-per-views to watch like Jake Paul.
Yeah,
like,
I don't understand.
And like he's not even fighting like he's fighting like fake boxers. Like he's not boxing actual people. Like,
yeah, it was funny like the first time it happened. Like, oh, this is a unique thing. But now it's like, wait, you guys are still doing this?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, why is this $1 million industry? Like, if you want to watch boxing, like watch real boxing.
Yeah, I don't know. What if there was like a sport? Like, if like Jake Paul was like the quarterback of the AAF or something, I'd probably watch that actually. Now I get it.
I don't know. It feels weird. Like this is obviously a bigger issue. The bigger issue at large here is that we can't market boxers anymore. Like boxers aren't interesting to people anymore because like people are literally just watching these because Jake Paul and what's his brother's name? Logan.
Logan, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, they're like charismatic or whatever, so that's like incontroversial.
Even that's debatable.
They obviously have to have some sort of charisma to be as popular as they are and have the YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff. And like they have a certain level of charisma and personality that people are gravitating towards.
Mm-hmm.
And we just can't do that with like boxers because like they don't even want to watch the real athletes. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's wild. Let's move on. Balls at Rams. Well, the nice thing about this though is, so you gave me, what happened last week was I ended up flipping and giving you a different game, but then the last one was an upset. So is there potential here? Can Washington pull off the upset, or are you picking Washington to win?
I'm not picking Washington to win.
I have to ask you. We've got to put it in writing here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is a potential here, but I just don't trust this Rams. I don't trust this Balls defense since they've made all these trades. They've looked bad. Everything's just looked horrible for Washington. Like Ron Rivera at this point just feels like dead man walking as far as like job status goes. So, yeah, give me the Rams. Feel pretty comfortable about it. I would probably bet. I was with you. I'd probably bet Rams -6.5 in this one too.
Yeah, this was my lock. Obviously, yeah, the Rams should score $1 million. I honestly have nothing else to say. Rams should score $1 million.
Yeah, and especially, if Sam Howell's not going to take over take care of the ball, like this should be like a 30-point win, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe you can try to, I don't know, Yeah, I don't know. Rams should win. For the Washington, try and outscore them, but it's not going to happen. I guarantee the Rams beat the Balls in this one.
You're just trying to reverse jinx me at this point because I have to pick them.
Yeah, Kyle, let me know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at Kyle Gronin. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you like audio only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline podcast. Should be available there. Yeah, Kyle, any final thoughts?
No. Looking forward to the week. Looking forward to these games. Should be fun. Do we have Saturday games this week?
I think so. I think we have at least a Saturday game. I'll double check real quick, but let's see using Google here. So go sure. We have a few Saturday games. Yeah. Vikings, Bengals, Steelers, Colts, and Broncos, Lions. All interesting games.
Yeah, I can never just keep up with the schedule this time of year. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, all those games feel like they have some stakes to it. We could probably all skip Thursday night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How terrible is this that Al Michaels now doesn't get a playoff game and is stuck with another crappy Thursday game? Like
it's tough. Yeah.
At least he can drive to Vegas. I guess that's nice. He can golf in Vegas or whatever. I'm sure he golfs. But I don't know. That just sounds miserable. Everyone go spend your Thursday night doing something exciting. Don't watch Chargers Raiders.
Yeah, go spend time with family or something. Let's get out of here, Kyle. Thank you for everyone for watching. We do appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one.
Peace.